Ladies and gentlemen, today we're doing something a little bit different. We are taking a look at the Halloween franchise in a little bit different way on Versus here. Instead of doing a couple different movies and pitting them up against each other, we are going to be pitting two trilogies up against each other. It's kind of maybe a best of the worst situation here. Today on Versus, it's going to be the Thorn Trilogy versus the Hallo-green Trilogy. This idea didn't come to me at all. This was Andrew's idea. Actually, was it your idea? I don't even remember at this point. We both agree. We both agreed to it. So
this was my.
So we get to. So now we get to make cases for movies that are considered some of the movies that are considered low points in the franchise. One here recently we've been very critical of, and today will be no different. I'm still going to be critical. So, so yes, for those who don't know, and most of you should by now, the Thorn Trilogy is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, and Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. And 4 is only really thrown in there because it's the start of, the continuation. There's not really any Thorn stuff in that movie, but it's the characters. It's still the characters. It's still a continuation. So you have to really lump that in. And the Hallo-green Trilogy, as I like to call it, Hallo-green is the new trilogy of Halloween movies directed by David Gordon Green. Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. A lot of controversy around this new trilogy. So we decided, now that it's all out of the way and we're patiently going to have to wait however many X amount of years for a new Halloween movie to make its presence known to us, we just have to basically live with this shit for now and talk about it. We are going to decide the best of the worst. And I mean, it's pretty well widely thought of that the Thorn Trilogy is kind of the bastard middle child or something. I mean, it's the middle of the road of the franchise, and it's got good stuff, it's got bad stuff.
Much anymore.
Despite this new trilogy being brand new and being filmed really well, and we'll get into that later, there's the same comparable bullshit in this too. There's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad. So we are going to get into this. It's probably going to be a little bit longer video. We're going to try not to make it too long, but we've got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of ground to cover. We'll try to be as quickly as possible with this because there are 6 movies that we kind of have to lump into two trilogies, and we got to talk about here. So we're changing it up with the categories because we can't really. I don't think we can really do the exact same categories. We wanted to change it up because it's a different versus. So instead of regular story, we're going to do linear story for a category, or coherency, coherent story. Second
movie
one,
A to movie C.
Yes. Movie A to movie C. We are keeping the characters category. We're not really going to do. We can talk about acting a little bit if we want to. We are keeping that though, just because there's a lot of good and bad characters in both trilogies. We're going with atmosphere for this one instead of setting. Just overall atmosphere and feelings for each movie and how well they captured Michael Myers or Halloween. Rewatchability instead of kills. What set of movies or movies in those respective trilogies can we just sit down and rewatch over and over again, despite the troubles within the trilogies? And for the final one, we are doing franchise killer, which will be more of a what is more harmful to the franchise. And this could be the more controversial one, maybe not all between all of us, but just between a lot of people. Everybody's going to have a different answer out there in the interwebs. Without further ado, we will get right into it. We're going to go with linear story first. Kenny, I'm going to nominate you to take this first one for story. Linear story.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you
Okay, stories. I tried really hard going down the line here to make sure that I did not tie on anything.
God, it was rough.
And it was, and story really was kind of hard, but I went with Thorn. I wasn't a huge fan of the Thorn Trilogy, as we call it. But after after the end of Hallo-green's trilogy, it really did it in for me. Like, in my opinion, it was that bad. And there's good things.
Yeah.
With the Thorn, I like and I know this dips into characters, but I really like the Jamie. I like her story. I like the way it carries over into 5 and the way it carries over into 6. Man, I could talk all night about the way Hallo-green's ends, but we'll get into that as we move along down the line here. But yeah, I went with Thorn. Story was really rough for me.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Well, they're both terrible. I mean, really, just in the grand scheme of things, they're both terrible. But there's saving graces there that you can make a case for that. That I agree. I also picked Thorn. What was there was bad. But despite the wreckage of Halloween 5 and the shit they introduced for no reason that they didn't explain, that they felt they had to explain in 6, I thought, even though it's bad, really bad, they did. They explained it. They tried. They tried to do something with it. And I will be a little bit different than you guys probably, because I'm going off of the producer's cut, because that's going to be the closest thing you can get to an original script. Well, I heard the original script of 6 was actually pretty decent, but it was not like either one of these two, the theatrical or producer's cut. I'm going just simply off the producer's cut because of the Thorn stuff. Yes, it's bad, but at least they tried. They tried to explain it. They tried to finish it. Hallo-green just kept separating itself further and further as we went along. Kills was the same night. It had some story extension. It carried over a couple things, but a lot of things were not addressed that should have been addressed or mentioned. They just shoehorned 15,000 more people into it and really tried to get that town of Haddonfield involved. And it did not set well either. And then you get to Ends that was just a complete 180 of everything minus the last 15 minutes of the damn movie. And it was an incoherent piece of shit mess. And you just have to kind of look. Really, it's the same as the Thorn Trilogy. It's a mess. But at least the Thorn Trilogy tried. This did not feel like it tried. It got a little overly pretentious at times and then just ignored other things, even though they promised in all these pre-release interviews and all this shit that this was all important. The no sister brother thing was important. The Strode women and the strong women were important and so brave. Did not translate well. The brother and sister angle turned out to be a big nothing burger. It didn't fucking matter. Sorry for my language. Everybody, did not matter. It did not make Michael any more scarier or random because of the events that they did to have to shoehorn him and Laurie together, because you had to put the two superstars together. It doesn't matter, right? It just does not matter. So it doesn't make him any more or less scarier with the whole familia thing. You just didn't execute it well. And at least the Thorn Trilogy has Michael Myers in it more. Halloween 5 and 6, for good or bad, had a lot of Michael Myers. So I had to go Thorn. I know I went a little bit long on that. Had to go Thorn.
Yeah, you got to vent a little bit too. So
yeah.
How do you feel?
I feel pretty good. I'm passionate about this series, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't vent enough. So thank you.
Yes, yeah, I did it for you too, Kenny. I know you feel the same.
Hallo-green trilogy, to me, it started off really good with the 2018 movie. I know a lot of people bag on it because they're just saying it's for nostalgia purposes and everything, but I really feel they got a lot of things right with that movie. Yeah. And then I like how Halloween Kills begins, but halfway through that movie, with the evil dies tonight stuff, and then you get to Halloween Ends, that whole story peters out.
Yeah.
Like a whimpering dog for me.
Yeah.
And like you said, the things it tried to rectify in Halloween 6, like they did the complete opposite in the Hallo-green trilogy. And for that reason, I have to go with the Thorn trilogy.
Yeah. You know, it didn't set itself apart at all as much as they really hyped it up to be. They really tried to say, yeah, this is going to be different. This is going to be scarier. This is going to be better. And it just wasn't. Now, Chris does disagree with us. He picked the Hallo-green trilogy on this. I think his reasoning is just the story is muddled, just like the Thorn trilogy. But overall, you can't deny that, and I do agree to an extent, you can't deny that this film, the new film trilogy, is better produced films. You know, they have bigger budget, bigger crew. You weren't on the verge of this ain't the late 80s or the mid 90s anymore, and you're not on the verge of a direct-to-DVD release. You know, you've got a second wind or a third wind or fourth, whatever it is now. You've got a reconnaissance of Michael Myers in the slasher genre a little bit. So you're going to have a little bit more focus and more attention and more of a budget on this. And David Gordon Green's really not that bad of a director. Everybody involved were, good at what they did for the most part. I don't think they really understood.
They didn't have 3 movies there.
Yeah, they just weren't. I just don't think they were actually, despite what they might have said at the beginning, I don't think they were actually prepared to make 3 movies. And then COVID happened. Maybe you can blame some of it on that stretch. But it just, yeah. Anyway, I get what he's saying. I get why he thinks that, and I don't even disagree to a point. But yeah, I can find more redeeming qualities in the Thorn trilogy and even in its shitty story than I can something that just deviates entirely from the first movie and even half of the second movie, like you said, Andrew.
Well, it's like Andrew said, and I don't want to go on, but with 6 they tried to rectify, they tried to explain. Halfway through Kills, the car veers off the road and heads for the cliff, and they don't ever try to put the brakes on or get back on the road.
Yeah,
it goes straight to the cliff.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris Farley threw the banana peel out, and O'Doyle's went off the cliff, and that was it. Like, that was, O'Doyle rules all the way down. Okay, so we're going to get into category number 2, characters. I'll go ahead and I'll take this first. I picked Thorn again. I'll say that I love Jamie Lee Curtis. I like Judy Greer a lot, and Andy Matichak was great as Allison. I thought that those 3 and the dynamic was okay in that first movie. I love the I can't even say I love anything about it. James Jude Courtney was great. Great Michael Myers.
Yes.
The Mask was better than anything we got in the Thorn trilogy, so I'll just go ahead and say that right now and get that out of the way. That's kind of an obvious. Definitely did that better. Even in all 3 movies when it was burned up, I didn't like as much, but it still was better than anything you could get in the Thorn trilogy. Yeah, everybody else besides Will Patton were detestable. I can't think of anybody else in 2018 that I absolutely loved other than those 4 characters. And of course, Michael. You were rooting for Michael. The second movie, Kills, Big John, Little John were good, goofy red shirts, and I didn't hate them. I absolutely loved, this kind of ties back in the story, but I absolutely loved the throwback scene. That flashback scene from Halloween Kills was the best damn thing in the entire trilogy, probably just for me. But character-wise in Kills, I like Anthony Michael Hall. Did not do a good Tommy Doyle here. It was forced. It was overdone, overacted. I don't know why. I understand if Paul Rudd didn't want to do it. I understand not getting the original dude, Brian Andrews or whatever. I just think that it was over the top. They clearly saw Michael on the TV screen, along with that other little penguin-looking dude at the bar. But they still confused the penguin guy with being potentially Michael because the crowd just got overexcited and bloodthirsty. Stupid. Now, I know crowds can be stupid. Rioting crowds can be stupid for sure. It's just was...
And that's just another reason to vindicate us going for story for the Thorn Trilogy.
Right. So, but
they weren't even the same height.
No, not even close to the same.
Not even close.
No, like literally, it was Danny DeVito versus Dolph Lundgren. I mean, like that's the difference here. Anyway, not really. There's some cool kills in the trilogy. But there was nobody else I can think of in kills that I absolutely loved, other than the people that were still around. But Laurie took a back seat because it was more of a Michael movie. That's okay. Judy Greer gets killed at the end. We don't really talk about that in ends. We didn't hardly talk about the dad, her husband Ray, who died in the first one. We mentioned it one time in kills. The Evil Dice Night Chant, they're all detestable. It was good. It was cool seeing Lee Brackett back as an old man, but he was just another cannon fodder.
Cringy.
All of it was cringy. They at this point you're rooting for all of them to die. All the legacy characters. Now Kyle Richards was back as Lindsay Wallace. I like that. She did okay. She was pretty much nothing in Halloween Ends. Cameron, Lonnie, the bully from the first movie from '78, grown up, turned out to be a better character than Tommy.
Yes.
I hated to see him more than Tommy.
Yeah, and he come back redeemed.
Yes.
He didn't turn out to be such an asshole.
No, Cameron was a bigger piece of crap than him, his son. And his death was cool. Halloween Ends. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I've said everything I need to say. Awful. Corey Cunningham is the biggest piece of shit in cinema history. And that might be a little bit strong, but I'm saying it right now. I don't like it. I don't care. I don't care about anybody else. All the band kids that were bullies makes no sense to me, but I also grew up in the 90s. And band kids were not bullies. We bullied them. And
you should be ashamed.
I didn't really bully anybody.
Well, look at him. He's redeemed now.
Well, I'm redeemed. Yeah, I'm redeemed. I'm like Lonnie.
He's a better person for it.
I grew out of that, Kenny. Thank you. I'm a better person now. Anyway, just no redeeming characters in Halloween Ends at all for me, and all the character Andy Manichek, Allison, became a spoiled little weird brat. The town was all goofy and way more effective than they should have been. I know I'm getting long-winded. I'm sorry, guys. Just nobody redeemable. I haven't even made it to the Thorn Trilogy yet. I'll just do it real quick. Brady, Slime, but didn't mind him. Sasha, what's his name? Sasha, is anybody Jensen or something like? It's something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. Yeah.
I liked Brady, even though he just fooling, fooling. He just wanted to get a little fun. Jamie and Rachel, two of the best characters in the entire franchise. Daniel Harris and was it Ellie Carruthers? Rachel Carruthers, Ellie Cornell. Sorry.
Yeah.
Two of the best in the entire franchise. I absolutely love them to death. Dr. Loomis was amazing. Donald Pleasance was amazing. He got a little bit crazier in this one. Who else? Earl and the gang. Absolutely love Earl and the gang. Crazy ass gun-toting rednecks. They shot Ted Hollister.
Poor Ted.
Poor Ted. You dumb son of a bitch. You said you saw Myers. I absolutely. There's so many good quotes in this movie, by the way, that I want to talk about maybe a little bit later if we can. If we got enough time. 4 was amazing. Bad Mask, amazing movie. Great characters, fun, done right. 5, terrible, horrendous. But decent score, decent lighting. I didn't hate Tina. Everybody hates Tina. I don't hate Tina. Don't love her. Don't hate her. Everybody else is pretty detestable. And I love Loomis in this, even though he's even crazier, almost to the point of abusing Jamie. I don't really like Jamie's story being a mute in this. It's weird. but I don't hate it. Like I don't hate it as bad as Corey Cunningham. And then Halloween 6, I like Kara Strode. Danny kind of has the little the Danny Torrance thing going on from The Shining. I love Paul Rudd in this. He doesn't act. He acts goofy a little bit. It's his first role, big role. Still love Paul Rudd as Tommy Doyle in this. I don't really know anybody else in 6, but not near as detestable of actors. Even was Barry Sims or whatever, the shock jock. Yeah. Just another Bud type character that you kind of grow to like a little bit. Just overall, I don't have anybody detestable, and I know I went long, so I took the Thorn Trilogy on this, and you guys can take it away, whoever wants to go first. I'm sorry for being long on that.
I won't be as long as you, Brandon.
I probably covered everything for you.
You did. One big thing for me, I chose Thorn, is Loomis. I'm such a big Loomis fan through this franchise, and it hurts not having him, in the end, especially in the Hallo-green. I did, however, in Kills, the best part of that movie was the flashback. Yes. I mean, the flashback was on point, and they did a stellar job with that. Loomis looked good. I mean, the
guy already kind of looked like him, and then they used prosthetics. Great, and his voice was good.
Yes. You basically covered the horrible characters from the Hallo-green trilogy. So what I want to talk about is in Thorn, I really liked Jamie's character, and I liked her story. I liked Rachel.
Yes.
I thought Rachel was a good hero, replacing Laurie. Mm-hmm. I did not care that she was killed in the 5th one at the beginning.
Big F up.
And I'm with you. I don't love Tina, but I did like Tina. Tina kind of stepped in to protect Jamie after Rachel was gone. And Loomis, man, in the 5th one, you said he got to where he was almost abusive. It was almost to the point where it felt like he would use Jamie as bait.
Oh, he did. He straight up did at the end. Come get her. Yeah. You want her. Come here.
I feel like he went full on Martin Riggs there. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing about Tina too is she did make the ultimate sacrifice for her at the end.
She did. You know who made the ultimate sacrifice in Hallo-green?
Nobody.
Nobody.
We did. We made the sacrifice.
Yeah.
We watched it get thrown into a metal industrial grinder.
It just got bad. The chanting, the cringiness. Anthony Michael Hall. I love everything that guy does.
Yeah.
His 80s movie. I mean, those things are gold.
Yes.
Awful Tommy Doyle.
Yeah. Tried way too hard. The dialogue was written terrible.
Yes. And that may have been the writer's fault.
Oh, I'm sure. I would blame them. Yes, for sure. I think he overacted a little bit, but it could have been direction and writing that done that. Obviously.
Corey Cunningham, awful, god awful.
Yeah. No rhyme or reason.
I need to rinse my mouth out just saying the name. Bad taste in my mouth. So. Yeah. But yeah, I went Thorn.
So there's not a whole lot of characters that I like in the Hallo-green trilogy. I think what Kenny said really strikes home, that series is missing Dr. Loomis in a bad way. He keeps that story grounded. He's the foundation of the Halloween franchise as much as Michael is. They try to do that with Laurie Strode, and she's way too Sarah Connor in that first movie to pull that off. And then she's, helpless in the second movie, which really made me mad because, they're retconning 2 at this point, and
she's already helpless
right back in the hospital. Yeah. I was trying to think. There's not too many characters I like at all. even Anthony Michael Hall got out acted by Paul Rudd, who had never acted in anything up to that point. I mean, what does that have to say for you? Yeah. You know, the Thorn Trilogy, you've got Ellie Cornell and Danielle Harris and Dr. Loomis.
I like Sheriff Ben Meeker a lot too.
Yeah.
I didn't mention him earlier, but I like Ben Meeker a lot.
Yeah. And like you said, you know, you've got, you know, the gun-toting crazies in that fourth movie that it's just the right amount of comic relief.
Looks like you're out of business. Go home, Earl. Let the police handle this. And I love it. He's like, what the hell is going on? And then Loomis is like, it was Michael Myers. And Sheriff Meeker just looks at him like, what the? And he's like, he's come home to kill.
Tina, I'm not a fan of Tina, but I don't like her as the main girl. I don't know why you had Ellie Cornell and decided to make Tina. Tina's a fine side character.
Yeah.
I think she was miscast in that role, maybe. And then just to add, in part 6, I like the dad, the jerk of a dad. You know, I can't remember that guy's name.
Yeah, John Strode.
English is his name.
Yeah. Played John Strode.
And,
named after John Carpenter.
Wow.
And his wife Deborah, after Deborah Hill.
I liked his character. He was terrible. He was detestable.
Yeah.
But when he got his head blown up, depending on which version, you know, the movie you saw, I guess. Right. It cheers all around. So it's a no-brainer for me, Thorn Trilogy.
Yeah. So the Thorn Trilogy takes story, linear story, and characters. We're going to get into 3, which is atmosphere. I picked the Thorn Trilogy. I made a decision, and then I went to tie it because I'm like, okay, I gotta like straighten this out. I can't be like just all the way down, you know. I got to think about this and then I changed my mind again because I do think that the Hallo-green, and I won't be as long on this one. I think the Hallo-green trilogy captures a small town pretty well. I like the visuals. I like the housing. It's shot in North Carolina. It looks more like the Midwest as opposed to Salt Lake City, Utah, which was where 4, 5, and 6 were all shot. And there are a lot of things I love about 4 and 6, but 5 was, other than the lighting, 5 was pretty bad as far as locations. The Victorian houses just doesn't do it for me. Michael's house being a Victorian house, just stupid. Anyway, but I still had to go with Thorn, just because Halloween 4 and 6 were so good. 6 was actually shot in the fall this time, so it had that Halloween feel. It had that small town. It was wet. It was gloomy. They used a better looking house for the Myers house, which had been somewhat restored when John and Deborah and all of them moved in. And then Halloween 4 just had some of the best visuals and lighting in the franchise. You know, they really come back strong on that, even though some of the houses were definitely very Utah looking. You know, the farmland, the opening shot, I think the visuals were still really, really well done. Even the town where that Vincent drugstore, I liked all that. Yeah. So I think they captured Halloween very well, and a horror movie very well in 4 and 6. Other than, like I said, the lighting and the darkness of 5, it wasn't as good. But I edged that. Maybe it's my nostalgia coming out, but I edged that to the Thorn trilogy over the Hallo-green trilogy. You know, they brought the hospital back from Halloween 2 in Halloween Kills, and then look what we got out of it. An angry mob of people shouting just completely ruined it. Didn't utilize it very well for me. You know, not after you do it so well in Halloween 2. And I'm still pretty pissed they retconned that.
Well, I do like the Thorn trilogy, and I'm going to echo something you said in one of our other reviews, Brandon. Like, they got it so right with the opening credits scene in Halloween 4. Like how there's this sprawling farmland and everything. You know,
ominous and like the ambience, yeah.
And then Halloween 6 is great, but the house in Halloween 5 pisses me off so bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to choose the Hallo-green here.
I can't even be mad at you for it. I get it.
There's a lot here I like atmosphere-wise. I feel like it feels like Halloween, especially the first movie. Is it the first movie where he kills the kids on the carousel and they're dressed in Halloween 3? Second one.
That was killed. But they appeared briefly in
the first one. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
and I think they may run across that playground where the kid sees him and he sees Michael and the lights keep flashing on, on, off and on. That's one of the best visuals in any.
Oh yeah,
Halloween.
that was the first one. Yeah. The security light.
I think they got I think they got Halloween right, but I think they got the creepy vibe right, especially in the first movie.
Yeah.
Somewhat in the second movie. I like the Halloween bits we got in Halloween Ends. When they're out trick or treating and he goes after, was it Willie the Kid or whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that I can't get over Halloween 5, and just from like one coherent. Okay, do I like this atmosphere or this atmosphere? I had to go Hallo-green.
So I was pretty much about the same as you guys, and Andrew, you really hit it with 5. 5 was not good, and that's why I chose Hallo-green. I don't like the hospital stuff in Kills, but I do love how you get to see so much of Haddonfield.
Yes, yeah,
in this trilogy. I mean, there's so many different scenes in so many different places, and that was really cool. In Ends, can't believe I'm gonna say something good about it. Where he's getting bullied at the gas station. Like I love that little gas station. That reminds me of right here at home.
Yeah,
yeah,
we got plenty of those.
I love the bridge scene, the overpass.
Yeah.
That he gets thrown off of. I like that. I like the playground. It was just kind of all over the place. Even the scenes you got in 18, out by Laurie's home.
Yeah.
The gravel road or whatever.
Yeah, little wooded areas.
It was it reminded me a lot of of home.
It touched more about what we are used to, for sure.
Yeah. And that I really like.
We're in. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm done. You go ahead, bud.
Oh, everything you just said. Yeah, it reminds me of the Midwest where we live, and something that takes me out of the Thorn Trilogy a little bit. There's shots where you see mountains in the background, and that's supposed to be Haddonfield, Illinois. No.
Yeah.
We don't have those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't. We do, but it's southern Missouri, and it's still not the same mountains.
They're rolling foothills.
They're very different. Yeah, there's a couple tall ones, but they're very tree covered, and they're not. They're definitely not like that. Yeah, well, you guys make good points. You about pretty much changed my mind on that one, really. But you don't really have to, because Chris also picked Hallo-green, so Hallo-green takes atmosphere on that. Number 4, rewatchability. Which trilogy would you rewatch more?
So I'll go ahead and take this one.
Okay.
Each of these movies, or each of these trilogies, have one stinker. That's like, me and Brandon just recently ranked these, back in October, November.
Yeah.
And 2 of these movies are at the bottom of my list.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can just throw those out and go, what do I like more, Halloween 4 and 6, or 2018 and Kills?
Yeah.
And to me, it's easy. It's 4 and 6. Even if 6 was just completely terrible, 4 is still better than those other 2 movies to me.
I totally agree with you. I love 2018. I will rewatch Kills just for the kills and that flashback scene every now and then. I can see myself going back maybe every Halloween and watching those 2. But I have watched 4 more times than I can count since I was a kid. And I still, despite that shit mask, I can pop that thing in and just absolutely love it. It's so quotable. The scene with the pastor and him driving down the road.
Mm-hmm.
You're hunting it all right.
You're hunting it all right. Yeah, you can't kill. Was it damnation, Mister? It doesn't die like a. Yeah, don't die like a man dies. I know that, Mr. Sailor. Oh, you're a pilgrim, all right. I saw it on your face back there in the dust. It was clear as breasts and blue suede shoes. Like just hilarious. The stuff with Earl and Dr. Loomis was funny. The goofy looking wild-eyed guy at the beginning. Jesus doesn't have anything to do with this place. It's just a lot of great scenes, a lot of great dialogue, fun stuff. And And then 6 has really grown on me over the years, just because of atmosphere and the way they treat Myers. Yeah, there's some goofy stuff with Myers and the cult, but just the parts where Michael is being Michael and he's in the shadows and he's killing, that's pretty top-notch stuff, for real. And I've come to appreciate that over the years. So I went with Thorn, obviously. It just, I guess I'm a sucker for nostalgia. Chris will call me out every time, but I've seen them more and I can watch them more, especially 4. Really, it just comes down to 4. I can watch 4 above all of them more times.
Well, he can call you out, but I'll back you up on this.
Yeah,
okay.
So will I.
So we're all going Thorn on that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So Thorn takes rewatchability. Last but not least, the franchise killer. Which one is more harmful to the franchise? Chris says Thorn Trilogy in an unsurprising fashion. Andrew, what do you say?
I am going with Hallo-green as the franchise killer. In the last scene, they literally killed the franchise. So I don't see what your argument is there.
I get
but
it.
No, the Thorn Trilogy was so poorly received that they had to rectify that with Halloween H2O.
Yeah.
And got the franchise going back in the direction it needed to go in, especially at that time in the 90s, the
post-Scream.
Yeah. And I think if Resurrection would have been done a little better, you might have had a franchise out of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so while that went on to better things and could have strived but really didn't, where do we go from here with the Hallo-green?
Right, and
we're gonna have to reboot it again.
Yeah, because 4 kicked it off. 5 was a rush job, and bad at it. They picked a bad director. It was just a terrible deal. They tried to rectify it with 6, didn't do well. It wasn't. I don't think it was straight to DVD, but it was on the verge of being. Well, 7 was going to be straight to DVD, and then Jamie Lee Curtis and John Carpenter were signed on. John backed out, and she stayed on. But yeah, it did so well post Scream that it kind of revitalized it again, only for it to be shat on by Resurrection. They had to reboot it with 2018, which was a really good kickstart in this day and age, and just found out that these people don't know what the hell they're doing or want to do with it. So yeah, it's been a really up and down thing, and it's become a running joke, and it's sad because it's not our fault. You know what I mean? We're just sitting here wanting the best for the franchise and wanting to get more Michael, and you've got a bunch of people who are either chasing the dollar or just too goofy or incompetent or too detached to really go down a direction. And now you've got a bunch of fair weathered fans who are out there saying, oh, well, they've rebooted it so many times and it's just a joke and it's shit. And, it's sad. It's unfortunate.
What's the actor Kenny Powers? What's his real name?
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride having a hand in writing these. We just had the Super Bowl, and he was in a Super Bowl ad. And when I seen him in that Super Bowl ad, I actually yelled at my TV, "Learn how to write a decent movie, you prick!"
And I
that tells you all you need to know.
I love Kenny Powers. Like, I love Danny McBride and most of the stuff he's in. He's hilarious, but he did okay, I guess, with some help on that first one, but I don't know if he had anything to do with the next 2. But it just, I don't know. It was a bad deal.
Yeah.
It was a bad deal all around. I picked Hallo-green. It's pretty much what you said. They literally killed the franchise. Any kind of chance for a spinoff with Corey was killed because they killed him, and I'm okay with that because I hate Corey. But it's still like, what are you doing, right? If you're going to do something, and then but you're not going to keep going with Michael because you had to do this end of an era thing. This was the end of Jamie's story. This was the end of Michael's story, and now you're going to have to reboot it again. And we could kick it back to the 80s or any other spot, and it'd be just fine. It can be just fine with the right person behind it. But yeah, they literally killed it. With 6, as bad as it was, at least he walked away, to wherever to kill again another day. So, I mean, and you still had other places to go and things to do beyond that. So, it was a bad deal, and they wrote themselves into a big freaking hole. But you can obviously dig yourself out of it somehow or just write it off. Now with ends, you can't. You have to. What are you gonna do?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you guys, you guys pretty much said everything. I went with kills just because you've killed him, and you killed him in the dumbest way possible.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't even cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you strapped him on the hood of a car, you drove him to a junkyard, and you threw him in a metal grinder.
Yeah.
Don't
forget, Kenny. Don't forget, before that, they had him tied down by a refrigerator, and they like intimately slit his wrists and other things to let him bleed out first.
Yeah.
Like before just they crowd surfed him overhead.
Yes.
And you can't go forward, like you said. You can't make this right. You can't right the wrong, which is the last half of kills and ends. You can't fix that anymore because you've ended it.
Kevin Williamson, I believe, actually even had a script for Halloween H2O at the very beginning before they changed it, or somebody did that tied even all of them together, even the Thorn Trilogy together. I don't know how it was going to go, but so it just goes to show you can kind of pick and choose and edit a little bit, but you can do something with that after that. It might be dumb. Like I said, you can ignore some dumb stuff, but you can't do that with this ending.
No. Now to go forward, your safest bet is to reboot.
Yeah. And
go again.
Yeah. Or pick them up in another timeline or a different part of a timeline and do something different that way. It's just making new timelines. All you're doing. Either way, you're making new timelines. Well, that's a score of 3-2 in the favor of the Thorn Trilogy, and it's not a good win. I mean, it's like I said earlier in the beginning, it's the best of the worst, right? There's redeeming qualities in both. There's some really bad stuff in both. But we've got a clear winner here of the Thorn Trilogy, and I'm not mad at it. I can still sit down and watch it and enjoy it for what it is. Maybe not 5 as much, but I can still get through it and move on to 6 and enjoy it. It's crazy now to even say that I can sit and watch 6, and be okay, and just
I feel like I can watch 4, go out and mow the yard during 5, and come back and watch 6.
Yeah, exactly. And be just fine. So another interesting versus down. I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, I'm very passionate about this franchise. Do you guys have anything else to say in closing?
No, I think the right call was made here all day long. I'll defend the Thorn Trilogy over Hallo-green any day of the week.
Yeah, which and it is kind of crazy because I did enjoy 2018 and Kills, and they are very good produced, filmed movies in a way, right? Like they look good. The mask was good. Like I said, the atmosphere, the setting was good. It's really hard to say, yeah, well, these redheaded stepchildren over here are more rewatchable and funner than you. It's just really weird to say that when so much work and money went into this new trilogy, but you just really shit the bed and it's not good, man. Like at the end of the day, I could have done a better job. I know a lot of people probably say that, but I could have wrote something. I could have done something half-assed and done
100%.
You know what I mean? A half-assed job, and I would have done better than that shit. And I've got a mask. I got a mask right there. We'll do it. We can do whatever. Anyway, we're going to close this up. Had a lot of fun, guys. Thank you. I want to hear from other people in the comments section below what you would think. Give us your thoughts, good or bad. And we will have some more verses down the road. Another Halloween one coming up soon, actually. A Halloween-related one. Yeah, I guess. Just like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you all down the road.